Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series. Another Saturday special. That's right, because apparently I'm completely incapable of getting 4 or 5 casts out during weekdays anymore. It will normalise, I promise, and I know I've been saying that for about 6 months, but kids going back to school now, so hopefully I'll have a little bit more time to myself, so you can get your regular fixes during the weekdays and watch them on the train on the way to work or whatever it is, or down at the gym. I get all these little messages about people telling me where they watch the cast, but just saying, by the way, whoever is watching it down the gym, probably not getting a very good workout, but I'm not judging. Don't stop watching the casts. The carbs can wait. It's all good. But like I say, Saturday special, so I thought we'd do something a little bit different today. Chosen sent me a replay pack with some classic matches, some classic FAF matches, not GPG ones. And I thought we'd take a little look at those for maybe the odd Saturday special when we do them. And we've got one here that really caught my eye between Luzon and Voodoo, baby. Voodoo's not a baby, that's just me being excited. This takes place on 4-leaf clover. So let's go over to the game zone and see how these guys are going to get on. So we're all pretty familiar with 4-leaf clover. Let's take a look at the players and their starting locations. Down here at the bottom, in his ever so customary Cyanide Cyan and Seraphim, it's the ever indomitable Luzon opening first land. What have we got second? Go on, give us a clue. It's second air, and he's facing off against the quintessential Voodoo in mellow yellow, opening first land, going his very customary UEF, of course. Seen these guys experiment a little bit more with the other factions recently, with the other patch updates, things being changed around, but this is of course going a ways back, and you can see how different the UI looks without that really helpful mass and power indicators that Zep threw in a while back. So this is going a way back, and of course this is going to be without the NG mod changes. Not sure exactly when this was played, but yeah, it's going to be a slightly different version obviously to what we're used to, so there'll be no HQs or anything like that. But Voodoo on the move with his ACU already, not going to keep that build capacity in the base. He's going to get towards the middle of the map, wants to secure all this. Very important, of course, on 4-leaf clover to secure the middle. It gives you access to the other petals of the clover with all of their associated mass. But Luzon's being a little bit more casual about things. He's keeping the build capacity in the base, wants to help that expand as best as possible. Instead, he's going to send a single engineer up here to try and hoover the mass. There is a mech marine inbound from Voodoo, but luckily he's not coming direct down the middle. He's going to go around the backside of Luzon's petal. Straight face, it's all good. But that engineer is actually going to get to that mass first. He can get some of the reclaim in, he'll bank some of that, but of course once Voodoo's ACU turns up on the scene, he's probably going to be able to see that and knock that engineer aside. The Selen that came out from Luzon a moment ago is making its way around the rear entrance to Voodoo's base. You can hear the ACU firing on that engineer in the background, and Luzon's going to do the old park the Selen on the mass point and be a douche. I'm sure Voodoo will recognize the issue when his engineer gets there and doesn't build anything, but Voodoo loves to rename his mech marines after other players in the community. He's gone for Freshie today, and Freshie bags. I don't know how Freshie feels about that. Probably not going to feel too good when that mech marine gets blasted, but for the moment he's having the time of his life. He's killed one engineer and he's inbound on another. That little engineer at the back minding his own business, quarrying away, happy as Larry, exceeding all quotas for the month, and then BAM! Doesn't make it home for Christmas. Has a good effort to try and reclaim that mech marine there, but doesn't get through or past around 60% of the HP. So Luzon dispatching a THAM to deal with that. Probably going to manage to clear that out without any real difficulties. We have got bombers out from both players, and despite the fact that that ACU has been taken out of the base early on, he doesn't seem to be too far behind Voodoo with the base building side of things. The odd THAM or Selen breaking through down here, knocking down yet more mech marines. It's got a lot of mech marines out from Voodoo early on, symptomatic of tag pebbles kind of play. who we miss greatly. We'd like to see more of the tags back. Don't know what's happened to them all. They've all seemed to disappeared, but maybe one of them's watching. They'll come back and play. We miss you. But Voodoo's got a bomber circling overhead, but missed the first pass. There were a couple of engineers clumped up there from Luzon, but he's not going to get another run at it. That defending interceptor going to knock him down. Meanwhile, the bomber out for Luzon has snagged a single engineer, and there are no interceptors currently on the way. Construction started, but the factory has been paused. Have we got any archers being constructed? Not at the moment. Seems to be sticking with the strikers. Single solitary Selen wailing away there on a Mex, but a striker turns up to ruin his day. There is a FAM around the back of Voodoo's base, and he's in amongst 2 or 3 engineers, but a beautiful bomb there from Luzon snags 2 more engineers, so 3 engineer kills for that bomber, and he's also got defending interceptors out as well for an escort. So Voodoo needs to crack on this air game and quick. Always a feature of Luzon's play, more so than other pros. I think he's got some of the best airplay personally. Another engineer bites the dust from that bomber. 4 engineers down, definitely paying for itself there. And the defending or escorting interceptors knock out Voodoo's own Inti. But now there are archers appearing on the scene, so that bomber bugs out a little bit. Gonna pick up another striker kill on the way out. Why the hell not? But nice harassing play, and that single FAM around the back as well, knocking down an engineer. So Voodoo needs to secure his petal and quick. He did move forward to hoover up a lot of this mass, but when he realized Luzon hadn't come forward with his ACU and there was no need for him to be there, he has backed up slightly. On an upgrade on that comm, is it going to be the gun or the engineering suite? I'm thinking it's probably going to be the gun this early on. Should give him a nice little advantage on the field there. Interceptors still circling from Luxy, but these 2 exposed mexes over here in the west probably not going to last much longer. Those strikers bearing down on them, and there are no defending units there for Luzon to bring in. He needs to keep them centralized around here. Can't have any of these units getting into his base. Down goes that bomber. So that will be the end of the bomber play for the moment, I suspect. Now we've actually got a transport under construction there from Luzon, so he's going to be looking to expand, I think, to one of the side petals. Voodoo already dispatching a striker to guard some of these mass points from potential engineers. And this little chappie has a grim mission issued on the way, has no idea that there's a striker waiting for him. If he's quick, he could probably reclaim that. Only 50 HP left on that tank. He will have to be paying attention. Meanwhile, Voodoo bearing down on the forward reaches of Luzon's petal, knocking down those 2 mexes at the front door. Luzon also on an upgrade, getting some assistance there from some extra build capacity. Let's see what we've got. That's a large gun. That is the gun upgrade. I don't need to check really any further.
Commander under attack.
And he's going to continue to harass this body of T1, so force it to back up behind some fortifications which are being thrown together there from that NG. But in comes Luzon's ACU, and you can see the difference in the gun upgrade. The UEF range and damage, the Seraphim range and rate of fire actually counts the same amount of DPS, but slightly different way it's distributed. But Voodoo down to around 6,400 HP, 8,300 on Luzon, so he's not going to be able to contend with that. He's going to have to back up and replenish. He's also going to get the core of his T1 out of there as well. 4,000 power in the bank for Luzon, so no overcharge for him. Voodoo, however, does have energy storage, so he's going to be able to effectively combat the T1 very nicely, but like I say, can't deal with the power from that ACU at the moment until he gets his HP back. But 2 engineers on board that transport. Looks like it's going for the northeastern petal. There is already a striker in place guarding it. And indeed, that engineer didn't get too much done. Turned up to place a mechs. Probably got rewarded with some tank shells in the face. Now Luzon looking to thin out some of this T1, which is accumulating just north of his starting petal. Voodoo coming back into the area. It's around about 6k HP though, but he's well behind Luzon. Probably realizes he needs to back up again. He wants to get down here and overcharge some of this, I think. That's why he's coming back into the fold. Get some kills on that ACU. Get some ranks of veterancy in to replenish the tank. Some nice Lobo shells coming in over the top there, killing clumps of those units. He's probably going to want to back up. He hasn't got any Zuis here. It's mostly Thans. So he's got 1 Zui, or a couple, but not a lot. There seems to be a lot more Lobos in Voodoo's mix. And Luzon throwing some PD together behind these 2 mechs. I'm surprised he's not throwing it up further forward. His main consideration is he wants to stop any potential run-bys. Voodoo taking the chance to maybe sneak in a little attack from the west while Luzon's ACU is further forward to the north. He's got enough Lobos. He's got a few Lobos in there, so he should be able to deal with the point defense. The problem is there are also a bunch of FAMs and Zuis in the mix as well. He has knocked down the PD at least. He's not going to break through that. It's comparable numbers of forces. But also another little drop happening down here. And this time he's got an accompanying Zui in there, which is for some reason not opening up on that striker. Definitely on a coffee break. I guess maybe he was too close. Do they have minimum firing ranges? Yeah, they do. God, you'd think I'd know that. Voodoo does reselect the Zui, but he should have moved it maybe first. I'm not sure if he would have escaped the blast radius, and annoyingly, there's a single engineer left with 5 HP. But there is an engineer turning up from Voodoo at least, so perhaps he'll be able to do something there. We have got a transition to T2 tech from Voodoo. Some mongooses appearing on the field. And still no tech yet from Luzon. So that is a nice maneuver there. Meanwhile, we've got a land factory that's been built over there on the northeastern edge of the map by Luzon. And he's starting to produce units out of it. That should help him secure the northeastern edge. Voodoo really needs to get a factory together down here if he can. And Luzon using that ACU to great effect. How many kills we got? 28 kills on there. Voodoo 27. There's not a great deal in it. But Voodoo needs to somehow apply a little bit more pressure onto the ACU so he can get back on a level pegging with him, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's taken the ACU, the Seraphim ACU, down to around 6,400 hit points and falling, and that actually has got him ahead. Luzon responds with an overcharge to the face. These two very much focusing in on each other, but the arrival of T2 on the field for Voodoo should make life a little bit more tricky for Luzon. This parashield affording some decent protection there for a moment until it receives an overcharge which depletes the power of that shield. Luzon probably dispatches it, recognizing of course the parashield is of the greatest level of threat. Voodoo potentially noticing Luzon heavily exposed there. Wheels down. Commences an attack for a moment there on the ACU. So very back and forth in the middle indeed, but for the moment, in the side reaches of this map, Luzon seems to be doing a little bit better while all of this is going on. We have to do it the old-fashioned way to take a look at what's going on the eco side of things. It looks about 32 mass per tick income there for Luzon and around 42 for Voodoo. So Voodoo is a little bit ahead on eco for the moment. How are we doing on reclaim? 5,800 for Voodoo and 5,400 to Luzon, so there's not a great deal in it. Voodoo can't seem to stay ahead on HP against Luzon's com. Luzon's com up to around 15k hit points, 14,400 to Voodoo. They really are focusing on each other quite heavily at the moment. Voodoo just looking a little bit thin on the front lines in terms of units. Yes, he's got these higher value units. I'm not really sure why he's not throwing more pillars in there. He's trying to range Luzon at the moment, but Luzon is so mobile right now. It's such a kind of mishmash of troops. I think more direct fire or say units with a higher muzzle velocity would do a little better right now. So personally I would be going for pillars. But he wants to keep harassing the com, of course. Nice overcharge, knocks down one of the mongoose. And Voodoo ill-advisingly marching a little bit too far forward there and getting some T2 PD fire in the face. We have got T2 Tech on the field there from Luzon, and Voodoo down to around 2,000 HP. Needs to be real careful, still taking PD fire. We've got bombers coming in overhead, but a nice rank of veterancy couldn't have turned up at a better time. Saves Voodoo's bacon, but he might not be out of the woods yet. Luzon focusing pretty hard on that commander. Does he give chase though? He finds himself in a sea of yellow. And now Luzon's turn to be a little bit cautious. He's going to have to back up. Voodoo could potentially snag a kill here, but once again, veterancy comes in to save the day. Luzon's turn to laugh in Voodoo's face with that very timely rank up there. And combined with that T2 PD and the odd Ilshima that's turning up, Luzon manages to clear the field. But my goodness me, that was very close there for both players. Thought one of them was going to go down for sure. Bomber still harassing Voodoo from overhead, and Luzon being dangerous in the air as always. Never relax with him. Voodoo tried to throw together a triad in the middle. Shame he didn't get it online. Luzon was able to march forward and blap that structure out of existence before it could get completed. It looked like Voodoo had decided against committing to that construction anyway. Interesting game this so far. Take another look at how the ecos are doing. 43 mass income for Luzon, 42 to Voodoo. So Luzon creeping ahead slightly. It's the influence of securing the side reaches of this map. Luzon's attention span is just godly. It can force you to funnel everything you've got into an area, and yet somehow he's still able to operate everywhere else on the map simultaneously. Meanwhile, a few units sneaking in around the back of Voodoo's base. Knocked down one mechs already, and now another T21 is about to bite the dust. There it goes, and that will definitely put Luzon ahead in eco. Absolute nightmare, of course. You might think, well, dispatch stuff, Voodoo, but it's all well and good. And you haven't got the intel to know what's going on, and your stuff is just disappearing around the map. It's not that easy. He needs to get some more units over there now and retake those mexes if he wants to stay up to speed with Luxie. And Voodoo's ACU still looking remarkably peaky. 2,600 hit points in the tank. Luzon faring a little better. 5,700. And it's enough for him to not feel remotely threatened by this merry band of units in the middle. He's going to continue to press. He's taken down that parashield. Now he's going after these few units of build capacity that just can't seem to get any mexes in play. How's the reclaim doing? Voodoo 8,800, Luzon 7,900. So Voodoo's still got a little bit of the better deal, but look at the amount of mass that Luzon is floating. He's actually wasting mass. That is very uncharacteristic, but it shows you just how good his eco is. He's up to 55 mass per tick, so it's a huge jump on just a moment ago, and this is the other feature of Luzon's play. There are so many of them. His eco is just beastly, and he operates on the bare minimum, like his usage here with the Seraphim ACU. He'll use that to such cost-effective effect, if you know what I mean. He'll use that so well. He can plow everything else into eco, and by that time, that stage in the game, it's actually too late. And still he's managed to sneak the side petals of this map as well. And all the time you're thinking he's doing this against Voodoo. Really is another level of play. Mongoose is dashing, darting backwards and forwards underneath the cover of that parashield, trying to pick off some of this biomass here. Of course, it's not really biomass. Nothing living it in. Metal mass. There we go. Machine mass should be what we're calling it. But some demolishers turning up on the field. So Voodoo, having made the transition to T3, going to try and counter the recent stages of play from Luzon by staying ahead in the tech game. Trouble is, he hasn't got much time. Luzon has already started his upgrade to T3. Of course, it's a slightly different feel to the game back then. We don't have the NG mod changes, so very much the single solitary factories being upgraded. And the older ones, the ones that really are of no use anymore, get self-destructed so that the player can benefit from their wrecks, their mass. And it looks about 55 hit points a second coming back onto Luzon's comm against the 32 a second on Voodoo's.
Commander under attack.
Luzon's sitting at 4 stars with 97 kills to his name. Voodoo on 4 stars with 101. As Luzon got the upgrade on him. Not yet.
Commander under attack.
It's always the danger of that Seraphim comm. It gets so nasty, so very beastly. It gets tanked up later, and then you get the nano upgrade. But look at the amount of air coverage Luzon's got on the field right now. A few bombers coming out from Voodoo, but not getting very far with them, and a nasty little Zooey drop, or a combination Zooey and mainly Tham drop into the back, going after Voodoo's power grid. He's not dispatched any units to deal with it for the moment. Could really do with a bomber or two. That one that was just sent in and got nailed to go and finish off those units. Bombers coming in overhead, going after the demolishers now, which have been ranging Luzon's forces. Wise decision. But they really could just be focusing on Voodoo. He hasn't got the ability to deal with the amount of interceptors Luzon's put out on the field. Could be picking apart that ACU for little or no return fire capable threat there. Voodoo moving into the middle though regardless. Well aware that he's behind now, I think. Now he's facing a beastly Seraphim commander that has the benefit of a shield to hide under. His only option is to press. He's now got some Percys in the mix as well. Will help him shed chunks off Luzon's comm if he can manage to get in there and avoid some overcharges in riposte. Voodoo makes his way under the shield. Finally, that shield's going to get taken out. Luzon actually backing up quite a long way. But Voodoo's got to be looking for a kill soon somehow, or he's surely going to lose this. Nice overcharge, though, of course. Very well expected. Takes down that Percival. Once again, Voodoo finds himself in the middle, rather thin on troops. He's got another Percy incoming. It really doesn't help that he's behind in the air game. Indeed, we have got a bomber out from Voodoo working on these units away at the back now, but look at the damage they've caused already. How are we doing on power? We're doing okay. Yes, the Hydra's down. Yes, he's lost a lot of T1, but goodness gracious me, Voodoo has spammed a lot of T1. So he's doing alright on power for the moment. He's not bottlenecking as yet. But this has been the real killer for him so far. He's been unable to get any presence on these other two starting locations. And all of that mass has been going into Luzon's pocket, who's still full barring and wasting 59 mass per tick. Needs to get some more build capacity in the mix so he can spend some of that. He's got a hefty amount of T1 bombers in play for Luzon as well. Voodoo just looking permanently ill in that ACU at the moment. 5,600 hit points, not a comfortable amount to be sitting on. And he's taking Suthanus long-range mobile artillery fire as well from way back there. A few units coming around that northeastern petal now from Luzon. Voodoo responding. Should be able to protect front of his base without any real trouble. One T1 mass pump is actually in the middle of an upgrade. He wants to hold on to that. 12% done. On its way to T2. Has Luzon seen it? The question. Manages to protect it. Well done, Voodoo. Luzon having walled off this northeastern petal. If Voodoo wants to get in there, he's probably going to have to go around the edge. Well, actually, there is a gap in the middle here. Can get some troops through there. Has he got enough Lobos? Yes, he has, so he can deal with the PD. You can see more PD being queued up there from Luxy. And Voodoo really needs this. He needs to get in there. He needs to claim this if he has any hope of getting back into this game. And Luzon's managed to spend some of his mass down to around half bar now, which is nice to see, but he's still getting in 64 mass per tick to Voodoo's 30. And the breach is complete. In they get, but the question is, are they going to be able to affect any damage? Stam's turning up at just the right time to knock down the Zuis. If they can take out the, knock down the Lobos, if they can take out the artillery, hold on to that PD, but a volley of shells already in the air is going to knock it down. Luckily, another one has been completed. Voodoo can advance a little bit, but he's not in the clear yet. Starts taking another round of point defense fire. A couple of Percivals show up as well. I think this is going to be a win on the ground there for Voodoo. But meanwhile, Luzon is advancing in the middle. And he's got a few sniper bots in play as well. I like it. Utilizing the immense range. 75 range, I think it is, if memory serves, something like that. I know they outrange a Ravager just by, I think it's by a thing of 5. I think a Ravager's range is 70. Something like that. See that they can just move in, start blapping away from safety, especially with Luxy's beastly comm underneath a mobile shield gen there. Bomber comes in, drops a round of bombs, but doesn't get a chance to make a second pass. But finally, Voodoo cleanses this area a little bit. There is a couple more engineers which he needs to deal with. He's going to want to get an engineer in there ASAP. And we've got to transition to T2 Air Tech. Currently still only producing interceptors, though. Wanted that faster build rate that he was going to get. But look at this. Voodoo taking a battering down to 700, 800 HP. Is running for his life. And what scares me is this horde of T1 bombers that Luzon's been stockpiling, waiting for just such a moment. Luckily, there are a decent number of interceptors in play now for Voodoo, so he might be able to defend himself if he can spot the bomber rush early. However, bomber rush not on its way as yet. Luzon, content with the progress he's made, at least at the moment, isn't going for the snipe. A couple of Percivals making their presence known in the east. Decent distance away from the comm to avoid that overcharge. Going to be able to knock down that Otham on their way past. If they can get in here, they might be able to do some damage, but those bombers are on the move. There is also a Percy down here as well. And this does concern me. They are making a beeline now for Voodoo's comm. Just 2100 hit points, 2200 hit points on that commander right now. Luzon embroiling Voodoo's Inties in a little bit of a battle. They stop to get their bearings. Bombs away. Voodoo, you're going to want to get your comm moving, my friend. Voodoo eats a few bombs. It knocks off around 400 hit points. Voodoo's Inties still prioritizing the other interceptors. That's not ideal. More bombs incoming. 1500 hit points this time. Is Voodoo going to be able to clear out these bombers in time? And even if he does, is he going to be able to defend against this commander of Luzon's with 30,000 hit points in the tank? 900 hit points left on Voodoo's comm, 700. And Voodoo walking in a very ill-advised direction straight towards Luzon's comm. He's surely going to want to turn around. Unless he's capitulating, which he may well be doing. Thankfully, there's a triad there, which is going to at least make Luzon stop to kill it. Going to take him long to chew through it, though, and there it goes. And I think this represents the demise of Voodoo in this game. 28 minutes gone and no real options for attack. Voodoo on the run to the core of his base. 1600 hit points left on him. This is going to free up the front now for Luxy to make his way in, and that forward T3 factory now under threat as the land units follow in behind the commander. Luzon stopping to throw down some intel structures and some static anti-air, but Voodoo with no other real option, bringing his commander in, hoping maybe to blap the odd land units in here, get some emergency veterancy. Take some fire from Luzon's comm. He's not going to make it out, surely. It's all over. And Luzon dispatches Voodoo in the best part of half an hour, but it was a close game. But Luzon's eco, once again, just too strong, coupled with that horrendous commander. Seraphim Battlecom used to great effect in that. And did he even have the nano upgrade? He did have level 1 of the nano repair upgrade, a 5-star comm, and that gives him 110 hit points a second back on a tank that comprises of 30,750 hit points. It's such a beast. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that. As always, more to come from me in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle, signing out.